Hi everyone. I hope you're able to hear me, right? Can you please confirm?
Yes, sir.
1 minute. I'm not able to hear you. Can you please confirm now?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So, can anyone share your screen so that we'll create a Databricks account, community edition account will create it so that we can do practice. So, community edition is just free of cost. We don't need to pay anything for it.
I have connected through mobile, so
Okay.
can see.
Rajkumar or Anil, anyone?
Mine is office system, sir. I cannot.
Okay. Okay. Okay, then I'll do one thing. I'm just going to take you through directly explanation, but you have to try to create a account. Okay, so how exactly you can create account? I'll just give an idea because they changed the pattern to create a account. So I don't have a documentation for that.
Are you sharing the screen, sir?
Now I'm sharing the screen, my screen only.
Unable to see so far.
Now,
I'm not able to see anyone else.
I can see the screen.
okay, let me stop and reshare. If you join from the mobile in between, that's not allowing.
No, I was there from the beginning.
Now, how about now?
So what exactly you are showing now? It's this login.
Databricks.
No, I'm not able to see. Should I re-login? No,
How
not.
about others? Can you rejoin otherwise?
I can see, sir. Yes.
Okay. So what I'll do is, if you go and open incognito window,
Sir, can you please reshare once again?
is that able to see now?
Yeah, sir. Thank you.
So I'm just trying to create a Databricks community edition. Edition sign up. So we don't need to, even if you wanted to practice your Python, we don't need to install Python, or we don't need to have a Jupyter notebook. You can directly use the Databricks community edition also. So you have to sign up. There is a sign up Databricks community edition. It's a free of cost. We don't need to pay anything for this. Okay, so once you come to here, there is a community edition sign up page. Just hit on it. So once you hit on it, it is going to ask you to provide the Gmail. Just provide the Gmail, or even any mail ID is fine, but I recommend to go with the Gmail. Okay, so most of you will be having a Gmail to have it. And then it is going to send some verification code to your Gmail, and you just enter that Gmail, then it will be created. As simple as that. Okay, so previously there was a few steps. Now we don't need to have that many steps. We can directly go for sign up with your Gmail. Okay, so that is how you can do it. Okay, so I'm already having a account, so I'm not creating too many accounts. So you can just try, and if you're not able to create a community edition for Databricks, then let me know, I'll help you. Okay, so once you have logged in, how exactly it is going to be there? I'm just going to show you here. Okay, let me log into from my side. I'll show you how it is going to be there. Let's open it. So whenever you are going to log in, it is going to send a code, a verification code to you. So that you have to enter it. It has to verify it and it will come to here. So this is a Databricks community edition. For community edition, we don't need to pay any license. Okay, it's a free of cost. We don't need to pay anything. It's a completely free only. Okay, so if you wanted to do most of the practice that we can do we can do with community edition. For educational purpose, they have given community edition. Okay, so we already know why Databricks came into picture, right? So Spark is not providing the customer support, and Spark is not having a flexibility to work directly on the Spark. So because of that reason, this Databricks is providing the user interface to work on top of the Spark. On top of the Spark, we have a Databricks. Okay, so we are going to have a workspaces. When you go for Databricks, basically we are going to have a workspaces. Like for dev, we are going to have one workspace. For QA, you're going to have one workspace, and prod, you're going to have another workspaces like this. Okay, so forget about all these things. We'll talk about it, how exactly it is going to be there in Azure Databricks. At this point of time, for your account, there will be only one workspace. You cannot do anything. Okay, you cannot create a workspace from outside. But when you go for Azure Databricks, I'm going to show you how we can create a workspace. That is a paid version, and that is going to be charged. So to avoid the charges, I'm just going to take you through this Azure Databricks initially. Okay, so what happens is, let me go here. So how exactly or where I'm going to keep my stuff, I'm just going to show you here. Let's go to the workspace. One minute. Okay, so I'm just going to create a few folders. I think I have created, let me check. Okay, so I have a folder here. I'm just creating, not this one. Let's do one thing. Let me create a separate folder. So once you come to this workspace, you can create a folder to keep some sample data. To keep some sample data, we can use it, or we can also use ADLS also. Okay, so let me change the pattern of, the pattern of explanation. So previously I used to take the Databricks storage. I mean to say, when I say Databricks storage, Databricks is not having its own storage. This Databricks is providing by Amazon, AWS. So AWS storage will be there behind the scene. And if you take the Databricks from Azure, Azure will provide the storage for your Databricks. Okay, so we already created Azure Data Lake storage. I mean to say, we're all aware of how we can create a Azure Data Lake storage Gen 2, right? So I'll create a ADLS Gen 2, and I'm going to connect to that ADLS Gen 2 from the Databricks Community Edition also. We can connect it. We can connect from the Community Edition, and we can also connect from the Azure Databricks. So how exactly we can connect with Azure Databricks in real time? So that I'll talk about it at the time of project. But for now, I'm just going to show you generic connectivity with the Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Or even if you wanted to do practice by keeping the sample data here itself, we can also do it. Okay, so let me do everything. I mean to say, the data storage, I'm going to take it from the Azure only. Let's go to home, Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So I'm already having a storage account. I don't want to create it. I'm just going to use the same storage account. Let's go to the containers. I'll create a separate container for me. Let's say the container name is landing. So I wanted to say the name of the container is landing. Let's hit on create. So I wanted to connect to this place. To connect to this place, what you required is few things we required. And let me show you how we are going to connect it. But before connecting, I wanted to say one more thing. So all the notebooks, I'm just going to keep it one place. Whatever the notebooks that I'm going to take you through here. So all those things, I'm going to keep it one place. Okay, so let's say a folder. Let's take this area 10. So inside this, I'm just going to keep all my notebooks. I have created a folder. Once you create a folder, there is an option called create a notebook. Or you can right click on here. You can have a create a notebook. So any of the navigation that we can choose, I'm just taking this, any like right click on the folder and creating a notebook. So here I'm just saying notebook usage, or let's say notebook basics. You can give any name for that. Okay, so by default, it is pointing to the Python. And if you wanted to change this language from any of them, by default, you can change it. So as we are going to talk about the PySpark, I'm just going to keep the Python as it is the default. So Python, to say PySpark is more in demand. Even if I created Databricks, by default, it is taking Python. Okay, so when you compare with others, this is much more demand in the market. Okay, so once you create this one, basically, if you wanted to run this notebook, we required a cluster. I told you. So Databricks is going to have a cluster. Databricks is required a cluster. So we should know about how we can create a cluster. And I'm going to show you. We are not having much more control on the cluster as it is a free of cost. And if it is a paid, then definitely we are going to have a much more what we can say, much more control on the cluster also. So without cluster, you cannot run it. I can create a cluster from here. From here, I can do it. Or I can go to my home. Here you can see toggle navigation. And you can find there is a compute. You just hit on compute. And I'm just going to create a cluster here. There are two different types of clusters are available. One is all-purpose cluster. One is all-purpose cluster. And other is job compute or job cluster. All-purpose cluster and job purpose cluster we are having. I'll talk about this when we are going to use all-purpose and when we are going to use this job compute. This is very, very important at the time of working. At this point of time for practicing, I wanted to go through how we can create a cluster. It's a very simple as it is a community edition. We are not having much more control. And if you wanted to do the same thing with the Apache Spark, it is going to take longer time because we need to have a first cluster with Hadoop. Okay, so like Yarn or something that we need to use resource managers to control to manage the clusters. But when it comes to here, everything will be taken care by your Databricks itself. So I'm just going to hit on create cluster. I'm just saying here the cluster name is ADB01, any name that you can give. And you can see the rate, there is a runtime. I told you this Spark was designed, with the Scala. Okay, so Scala version you can see here, Scala 2.12 is there. The Spark is having 3.3 version. And they're giving 15 GB free of memory because the process is going to be happen in the memory. The process is going to be happen in memory processing. So Spark is going to support in-memory processing. That means when I say Spark, Databricks supports in-memory processing, because this Databricks is working on top of the Spark only. And the Spark configuration that I'm having here, I'm not changing anything here. And you can also see here PySpark underscore Python. The Python was getting automatically with the environment variables. We don't need to install Python. Okay, so all this setup is getting done once this cluster is up. Let's hit on create compute. In the community edition, once the server is terminated, basically this community edition is going to be terminated. If it is idle for one or 2 hours, then it is going to be terminated. Okay, but when you go for paid version, you can restart the cluster. We don't need to create again. So that also we are going to see. Now it is up and running. You can see a green circle that indicates it is up and running. Let's go to the workspace again. And we created a AD10. AD10. Inside AD10, I have a notebooks. Not this one. Yeah, notebook basics, perfect. Okay, so now whenever you have a notebook, you have to attach the cluster. If you don't have a cluster, you cannot run this notebook. Just now we created a cluster, right? You just attach that cluster. Cluster is attached. If I wanted to practice our Python, whatever we discussed as part of the Python, that you can discuss. You can practice here also. Welcome to Databricks. If I wanted to execute this, you can use Shift Enter or Control Enter. If I wanted to execute this, I can use the Shift Enter or Control Enter. If I use the Control Enter, the cursor will be sitting on the same place. The cursor will be on the same place. But if I use the Shift Enter, then it will go to the next command. That will be there in the next command. You can use the Control Enter or you can use the Shift Enter to run your commands. Or you can also use this run cell also. That indicates Control Enter. And you can enter all also. You can run all commands also. At one shot, you can run the entire notebook. So we are having this visibility. The way we are having in the Jupyter, in the more or less same way, we can have it even in the community, in the Databricks community edition. Okay, so the Python is going to run on a single system, whereas in the Databricks, the code will be running on top of the cluster. Because cluster is nothing but collection of systems. Okay, so they're giving a free of cost for some time. And if it is idle for 2 hours, 1 or 2 hours, then it is going to be terminated forcefully. And if you wanted to reuse it, then you have to recreate the cluster in the community edition. So that is the basic things that you need to be care about it. And we already know how we can declare the variables. Okay, we already know how we can declare the variables. Let's say, for example, I'm just taking name. Name is Bhaskar. Okay, and I wanted to print the name. So I can take comma name. If I execute this, then it is going to come like this. Okay, so apart from this, there is a one more approach is there. If I execute, it is going to get like this, right? So I'm just going to say F. One minute. There is something is missing.
Sir, we are writing this is text essay.
Yeah. So here, um, there is a much more chances to write this kind of syntaxes at the time of working. So that we used to call it as a F string. Okay. So this way we can write it, and this way also we can write it. Okay. So what I'm just trying to do here is I'm just specifying the variable with the name, and then I'm just trying to print the same thing. This is, and here I'm just keeping everything inside the double quote only. Okay, so here if you wanted to pass this value inside this braces, we are going to use this as like F string. Okay, so we have to specify this F if you wanted to print it. If you don't take this one, this is going to be treated, entire thing is going to be treated as a text. So this F string is going to be helping to print this value into this place. Especially at the time of connectivity, we are going to use this kind of approach to do it. So this is one thing I wanted to say you. And variable declaration, how we can create a list and how we can iterate the list, all those things we can do it. Just for understanding, I'm just saying here list equals to 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40 comma 50. And if you wanted to print one by one for I in LST colon print of I. The same to same that we tested with the Python, the same to same. Okay, so that means my intention here is if you want to practice your Python, you can also do the practice completely in the Databricks environment also. Okay, so that is the main intention that I wanted to say here. Now, I wanted to make a connectivity. I wanted to connect my storage systems. So if you wanted to connect it, how we can connect it? One minute. Otherwise, let me show you generic purpose, how exactly we are going to do it. We can get all this code. We don't need to remember anything. Yeah, here you can see. So I'm having all the code here. Okay. So if you basically in real time, we are going to use Azure Service Principal. We'll see that later. Okay, at the time of project, I'm going to take you through this, and we're also going to see how we can use the Azure Key Vault to mask our credentials. Okay, so for time being, this three I'm going to take you through how we can do it. But for now, I'm just going to use this account key. So we can use the account key to connect it. Let me take this copy. Let me create a new notebook. Let's say the name of the notebook is connectivity. Just paste this code. So here it is expecting account name. Here it is expecting account name. So account name is available here. This is your account name. So I'm just going to keep the account name here. And here also I'm going to keep the, here it is the account access key. So how can you find that account access key is, let's go to security access keys. I'm just taking this copy and paste it here. Okay, so let me execute it. Basically, we are not going to highlight our keys. Okay, so for time being, I'm just going to take it. Copy is required. Oh my God. Okay, just give me 1 minute. I'll take you through the basic one. I'll check my notebook. So basically, this is not going to be possible even remember. Okay, so I'm just taking with one of my notebooks. Okay, I'll share this notebook. You can also do the same thing for practicing because no one can remember all this stuff. So here I'm just declaring a variable to keep my access key and storage account. And then this is the syntax that you need to follow. So the syntax is very more or less same only. Only thing is I'm just keeping in a f string so that I can pass this storage account directly to here and access key into this place. Let's execute it. And so I need to access the container. The container name is landing and storage account I'm just keeping. And container name will come and the storage account name will come to here. And let me show you what it is going to have it inside this dbutils dot. So I'm not able to see anything in my storage account is because it is completely empty folder. It's a empty. Okay, so if I wanted to load the data, if I wanted to load the data into the target, or if you wanted to read the data from this particular place, then how you're going to read it, how you're going to create a directory inside that. Inside this particular location, whatever the location that I'm passing inside this container, how we can create a directory. Okay, so let me say in the storage account, we have created a container called landing. Inside the landing, I'm just going to have a directory called input directory. I'm just keeping input directory. Just observe. Okay, so because whatever the way that I explained previous batches, I changed it. Previously, I used to take the Databricks storage. Now I'm just trying to take the completely Azure Data Lake storage into. Now, if I re-execute this particular command, you can see here, there is a folder here, input folder. Okay, so there is an input folder. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a directory. I wanted to create an output directory. So how we are going to create an output directory? If you want to deal with the file system, how you are going to deal with the file system is with the help of a DBFS commands, we are going to deal with the file system. We have a DBFS. Okay, so even if this is mounted, then we don't need to write this entire path like this. This is the absolute path. If you mount it, then we don't need to do it. We can directly go and take a mount, and inside the mount, you can have an input folder. So in that way, we can do it. But I'm not taking that particular statement at this point of time. I don't want to mount it. So without mounting, I'm just trying to access, or I'm just trying to do the activities directly with the ADLS Gen 2. My Azure Databricks Community Edition is connected to my ADLS Gen 2. I'm able to see the input directory here. Now I wanted to create a directory called output directory. I wanted to create a directory called output directory. How can we create it? How can we create an output directory that I'm going to show you now? If I wanted to deal with that, then you have to use dbutils.help. dbutils.help. So there are various options are available. What options are going to be much more important that I'm just trying to take them here. So in this one, file system utils are very important. FS utils. That is one thing. And other is notebook utils and secrets. Secrets we are going to say at the time of project. Widgets. Okay. So these are all very important for us. Okay. So these utilities are important. In order to deal with the file system, we are going to use the FS utils. So what is there inside this FS utils? Just observe. I'm just going to take that. If I wanted to see the FS utils, dbutils.fs.help. Let's execute it. So these utilities are not available in the Spark because these utils are related to Spark utils. I mean, sorry, these utils are related to file system, different thing, which are specific to the Databricks, not for your Spark. You cannot find these utilities. Okay, so if you want to deal with the file system directly with the Apache Spark, then if your file system is HDFS, then you're going to use the HDFS commands. So DFS or something is the DFS commands will be used. Okay, so when it comes to here, we are going to use the dbutils to deal with the file system or to deal with the secrets or to deal with the notebook. We have seen few of the utils as part of your Databricks. So DB means Databricks utils. And there are two categories are there. One is mount and other is FS utils. One is mount and other is FS. I'm having it. So I'm going to show you how we are going to use FS utils for now. Okay, so later I'll show you how we are going to mount also, but I'm just going to use directly without mounting. Okay, so if you use the mount, then it will be stored the mount details. We don't need to re-execute it. But if it is not mounted, then whatever we have inside this particular notebook, that we need to take it always. So what I'll do is instead of this, let me take out this. I'll create a separate notebook for this DBFS commands. So this one, I'm going to use this for connectivity. Okay, so this is a connectivity. I'm just going to create a one new notebook. You just observe here with the name called DBFS commands. DBFS commands. Now, if I try to see what is there inside this, let me open this in the new tab. I wanted to access this. To access this, it is not going to be executed. So it is failed. Okay, so if this notebook wants to access that particular storage, we are going to use the percentage utilities. Okay, so percentage run, you have to take it, but unfortunately, this percentage run is not going to work in this community edition. Okay, so we have to call a notebook from one notebook to another notebook. So I don't have that feasibility. If it is a Azure Databricks, I can do it. So that we'll see how we can use the connectivity from one notebook to another notebook. Since I'm not having here, so I'm just going to just take a copy of this, and even this one also I'm going to take, because the scope of this connectivity is going to be within the notebook only. Okay, so it is not going to be available for other notebooks. So if you want to make it available, there are multiple options are there. I'll talk about it because this percentage run is a paid version, so it will not work for community editions. So I'll show you that. Just keep in mind how we can call the connectivity details from one notebook to another notebook. We'll see that. Now, my requirement is I wanted to create a directory. Okay, so somewhere I have explained here. So file system utilities, if you want to get it, then we are going to use db utils.fs.help. I'm just taking the same thing. So as I said, we have a mount and we have a FS utils. So I'm just going to concentrate on the FS utilities here. Let's take this copy and paste it. And let me explain about it. Because there is a slight change is going to be happen. Previously, I used the same storage of what we can say. So the storage of Databricks that I have used, but now I'm going to use Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 as a storage. Now here I wanted to create a directory. Here I wanted to create a directory. So to create a directory, we have a command called mkdirs. There is a command called mkdirs, and it is used to create a directory. Mkdirs is going to allow you to create a directory. Okay, so if you want to create a directory from explicitly, then we are going to use this. If the directory is available, then it is going to use the existed directory. If it is not available, it is going to create a directory. So we already seen like input directory is available inside the input directory, or let me create an output directory. I'm just going to create an output directory. So task 1, create a directory with the name output in, because this note is going to be changed in landing. So in ADLS, I'm going to create it. So if you wanted to do this one, what you have to do is you have to take this entire thing. This path, you have to take it. Just observe how I'm going to do it. Okay, so within the landing, I wanted to do it. And this is the storage account name. Okay, and inside the landing, inside this landing, I'm just going to create a directory called output directory. Just try to create this one. Just execute it. Now it is saying true. Then how can you validate this? To validate this, we have a various options to validate it, right? I can just directly go to the portal and I can refresh here. Can you see the output directory? You're following with me, right? Is everyone following with me? So there is a, I'll save this notebook. What you can do is you just
Sir-
pass your details, the
Sir,
storage detail.
They're
Yep.
following but not clear.
Yes. So basically what happens is when you go for data factory, we have a directly connectivity with the storage account. We are not having a problem. But this Databricks is a third party. Okay, so to connect to our storage account, we are taking this approach. So one of the approach is by using the access keys, we can connect it. Okay, so I've shown you how we can get the access key from your side for practicing. You don't need to remember all this. No one will remember. Okay, so I'll share this notebook. Just use the same code to connect your Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Only thing what you have to do is, in your case, you have to keep your access key. In this one place is change. And second place is the storage account you have to change. That's all. These two places you need to change it in this command. In the second one, here you have to give a container name. What is the name of the container? And what is the storage account name? That you, again, you have to keep it here. So only 4 changes you have to do it. So here my intention is how you can make a connective with the storage account is that is the main thing. Okay, so if you're not able to connect with a storage account, let me know. We'll sort it out by tomorrow itself, because going forward, I'm going to use the same code and I'm going to make a sessions. So this code need to be executed in your system. I mean to say in your community edition, so that you can have a connectivity. Okay, so whenever you're going to create a notebook, take the copy and paste it and make the necessary changes. Okay, so now you can see here, this is the path that I'm having it. So like this, it is going to allow you to connect to your Azure Databricks, Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 account from the Databricks. After connectivity is done, if you wanted to create a directory, it's common for everywhere. Okay, so if it is a Databricks storage, I mean to say whatever the storage it is having internally, that is the one. Or if it is S3, the same command it is. The same command you are going to use, the path is going to be changed accordingly. Okay, so that is how we are going to do the changes. Okay, so here I'm just specifying landing here. That is the name of the container, and this is the storage account. I can also make this as a F string. Okay, so if I make this F string, then I don't need to pass multiple times here. I can do that. Okay, so that we already seen, right? So I'm just going to show you the same thing with, let me take another task. There will be another one to create a directory. So I'm just creating one more directory here. Create a directory inside another directory. Okay, create a directory inside another directory. I wanted to create it. So input and output is created. I'm just giving like inside input, I wanted to create a data because already having an input directory. So I'm just going to, let's say something like sample. So I wanted to create a directory like this. Now, before going to create this one, just have a look on this. Inside input, I don't have anything. Here I wanted to create a directory inside a directory. So if that is the case, two directories I'm creating. This is already existed input, but data is not available. I'm just going to have the data directory. So let me take the copy of this. So this one, let's make this as a F string. To make this F string, I'm just going to take out this here. Let's say this is one. And this is also, I'm going to make this F string like this. So I need to pass the variable names. We're already having the variable names here. Container. So container is here and storage account. So once you set up it, then you can take a copy and paste it. Once you set up it, you can copy and paste it. Okay. Now it is coming here, and inside the input, I wanted to create a directory called data. Inside the data, I wanted to create a directory called sample. So this is what it is talking. You're following with me, right? You have to spend some time. Okay, because if you want to deal with the directly Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, this is how you're going to deal. Okay, so even in real time also. Because I can take the same approach. Okay, so you may feel this is purely the basics thing. But at the time of working, how we are going to do is this is the one. I'm just going to execute this one. Now, if you go and cross verify in your source systems, I mean to say in your ADLS, you can see data, inside data, I have a sample. Okay, so now I understand, right, how we can create a directory. A single directory we have seen, and two directories how we can create that we have seen. Okay, so just for understanding, I'm taking you through this. Mostly, you're not going to create a directory. In general, what happens is, you don't need to use the mkdirs. When the moment you load the data, if the directory is not available, automatically Databricks is going to create a directory. So that is having a capability. So here my intention is to talk about file system utils. For that reason, I'm just taking this. The next use case I'm having here, just take this copy and paste it here. So task 3, I'm just going to use the command called cp command. If you remember, in the data factory, we used activity called copy activity. Okay, so copy data activity, we have used it, right? So what is the purpose of this? To copy the data from source to target, we have used it. In the same way, Databricks utils also is having a command called cp command to copy from to target. So copy is a file. If you want to copy a single file, I can copy a file, or if you wanted to copy a directory, I can copy a directory across the file systems. So I'm just saying task 3. The task 3 is just upload your employee.txt file into the input directory. Okay, so that I'm just going to upload into the Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Okay, so let me do that. Into the input directory, I wanted to upload it. You know that upload, how we can upload it. Employee.txt file. You're already having all these sample files with you. Employee.txt. Let's open it. Upload. Let me duplicate this. And one directory, I'm just there in an input directory. In another place, I'm just going to be there in an output directory. So inside my output directory, I don't have anything, but inside input, I have a file called employee.txt file. So I wanted to copy this file from source to target. I wanted to copy a file from input to output. The same thing that we have done with the Azure Data Factory, if you remember. Okay, so you have to create a link services, you have to create a data sets, then you have to design the pipeline. And then we need to run it finally. But here, if your setup is done one time, then you can reuse multiple times. There also you can do the same thing. But I feel doing with the Databricks is much more easier. I uploaded this employee.txt file into the input directory, and I wanted to copy this employee.txt file from input directory to output directory with the same name. So if you wanted to do that, we have to use the cp command. dbutils.fs.cp. The source directory we need to pass and target directory we need to pass. So I'm just going to take the source. I'm just going to pass source. File name is employee.txt. Okay, so this is the source, comma, and target also we need to pass it, right? The target also is same. I'm just going to take the same. Let's say you can keep the same name, or you can just keep output here. Let's see what happens if I just keep the output only. So two F strings I'm just providing, the source path and target path. From the input, I'm having a file called employee.txt. The same file, I'm just going to keep it in the output directory. So let's execute it. Now, if you go and see cross verify, just refresh this one and you can see the employee.txt. Now, I wanted to change the name of the file. Okay, so if you want to change the name of the file with a different name, then how you're going to do it? The same to same. So I'm just going to take the different name here, emp.txt. So I wanted to take the name of the file as a emp.txt. Just try. Let's execute it again. Now just cross verify that. And you can see the emp.txt, same to same size of the data. So whatever the data is there in the input directory, the same is there with the different name. So that also we have seen the same thing in the data factory also, how we can rename the file.
Sir, one question.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever thing we did using Azure Data Factory activities, same thing we are doing in ADF.
We can.
So in real time, this type of thing will be done in using ADF or also
ADF. Data ingestion will be with the ADF only. Okay.
So these things you are showing just for practice or example purpose?
Yes. And not only that, if required, if I wanted to copy some file from one place to other place, we don't need to create something, right? So you're already having some cleansed data somewhere. For some reason, you wanted to move from, you wanted to copy it.
Anyhow, this is becoming easy and faster as well.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So we just seen the two commands only, the cp command and cp and mkdrs. We are going to see mv command also is there. And there are few more commands. We'll try to complete that as much as possible and tomorrow from the DBFS. And then if you have a multiple files, how you're going to handle it, all those things that I'm going to take you through. So tomorrow, day after tomorrow, I'm going to spend with the DBFS commands only. Okay. So I'm stopping here. I'll share this notebook only. Okay. So rest of them, you do not expect the same notebooks the way I'm going to share. Or I'll share this code directly with you. Okay, so just try to do the necessary changes and make a connectivity. Okay. So I'm just following completely real-time approach. Previously, for my previous batches, I used to take the stories of here. Okay, so we used to have a stories in the DBFS. So that I used to take that particular storage. If I go for AD11, you can see the source and you can see the files here itself. But now purely I'm dealing with the Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Okay. You understand my point, right?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm stopping here. We'll see you on tomorrow to talk more things.
Sir, one more thing, sir. This Jupyter was working for me earlier, but now it's not working. Any hint you want to add so that I can correct it?
Not soon, but you need to check. You have to need to check. I cannot give the exactly what happens, but you just do the practice directly in the Databricks Community Edition. You don't need to do there.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir,
other option is
actually.
also there using that I'm doing. I think
Which one?
Jupyter, along with Jupyter, one more browser was there.
Spider.
Yes, using Spider.
Yes, both will come along with the Anaconda distribution. Otherwise, you just uninstall and install Anaconda if you wanted to do practice there only.
Okay.
Okay. Anything is fine. Either you can do practice here or you can do practice there. But this one will work only here.
Yes, sir. I'll try to set up this
Okay.
by seeing the video.
Okay, then we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, sir.